Good day and welcome to the Healer's Connection, the show that introduces you to all varieties of healing, from the body to the mind, to the heart, to the spirit, to your business. And today we're going to be looking at the body. I'm Dr. Michelle Petacola. I am founder of Second Chance Secrets, supporting smart men and women who want to recreate their lives after a loss, divorce, or major challenge. So as I said, today when we talk about recreate, we talk about, having a greater life adventure, a better life adventure, one that brings in both your body, your mind, your spirit, and others in your life. And as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on the body today. In particular, we have two experts, one who's an expert about running and exercise, and the other one about dance. And both of these are very near and dear to me. I used to be a long distance runner. I ran for about 15 years. I ran 3 marathons. And what I loved about running was you could eat anything you wanted because the calories would just slip off your body. And the other thing I loved was the runner's high. It was amazing. And I felt really strong and vital. And oh my gosh, back then I weighed 118 pounds. So it was quite exhilarating. And there was something really wonderful about being able to cover miles, like 10, 15, 20 miles, and know that you had the endurance and the strength to do that. Why did I give up? Well, my first husband left me, and he was the runner. And second of all, I joined a spiritual community where dance was the way in which, one of the ways in which you connected to the divine. And dance is one of my major meditations of choice, is to dance and really connect to my body and to movement. Dance enhanced my flexibility, and I found that running pounded my body and made me stiff. And so I actually gave up. Of course, I was living in New York City too, which was not the best place to run. So I found that giving up the running made it easier for me to be flexible in my dance. And flexible in my dance, I was doing and still do Middle Eastern dance, which requires a lot of muscle isolation. So I am a dancer and a walker. I walk 2 miles, not 2 miles, twice a day. I do yoga to keep myself flexible. And I say this not to brag, but to tell you what I need for this body to keep it healthy and active. And this is so important. I want you to take a moment to realize that your body is your buddy in this life adventure. And you can't do anything without this body. So the better you take care of it, the better it will treat you. I understand sometimes you get really frustrated with your body. As you grow older, it gets more aches and pains, it gets stiffer, it gets more cranky. And then there are the other things that, we just are used to in our lives, that the body is emotional. And that was one of the reasons I disconnected from my body very early in my life, was emotions, because I didn't want to feel the intensity of my emotions. We're not going to talk about emotions today. We're going to just talk about really loving your body. And I want to offer you a nice little special gift to help you to reactivate, if you need to, your connection with your body. And it's called, what's it called? Oh, it's called Body Activation Series. And you can get it by going to that tinyurl.com/body-activation. And it's a 7-day series of emails that gives you suggestions about what you can do to develop a better relationship with your body, to appreciate it, to stimulate it, to enjoy, because these bodies are really here for us to enjoy them and experience them. I mean, without them, it would be really boring, wouldn't it? let's see else. One other thing I wanted to say, and of course, Carla is going to talk to you about this as well. But one of the things you want to remember about movement, and that's the main theme of our talk today, is body in motion, is that so many of the systems in your body depend upon motion to function. For example, the lymph system, which is the system that provides you with your immunity, it depends upon contraction of muscles in order for those fluids to move throughout your body. There is no other pump. You are the pump. And with bones, if you don't put a certain amount of pressure or weight on your bones, they lose bone mass. And what was the other thing? Of course, muscles. You know, muscles. If you don't exercise, your muscles get flaccid, right? I remember when I was a long distance runner and I would just miss one workout and I would feel it the next day. That's how quickly you lose your muscle mass. If you stay in bed for a long time and sick, you're going to feel the results when you come back. I'm going to start by introducing Carla in a second, but I just want to remind you about the free offer, which is my 7-day body activation series. If you want to develop a better rapport with your body and greater appreciation, because part of not only are these bodies here for us to do the things we're meant to do, but also to enjoy life. And we have 5 amazing senses that really can bring us joy and happiness. And that's what that body activation series is about. So remember, it's tinyurl.com/body-activation. So now I want to introduce our first guest, and her name is Carla Frank. And she is an accidental athlete. She literally failed physical education in school and spent most of her life behind a desk or on a couch until she decided to walk a marathon to commemorate her 40th birthday. I'm going to have to ask the story of that. Since then, she's participated in more than 130 races, including 20 full marathons, 3 marathons in 3 days, and an Ironman triathlon. Carla is passionate about helping women of all shapes and sizes and physical activities and abilities to achieve their own athletic potential and uplift their lives. She supports women in creating a stronger, fitter, and more powerful self-image through partnering with their bodies and embracing an active lifestyle for more personal joy, stamina, and overall well-being. So I'm going to bring you to, hold on. I didn't mean to have you replace me, but let's add my spotlight. There we go. Okay, so Carla, I would like to know a little bit about the story that got you actually to run on your birthday. What was it?
I'm glad you asked, because it ties into what you said about stopping running when your husband left you. Like you said, I was the kid who failed PE, never moved, grew up in Florida. It's hot and humid. Why would I spend time doing things outdoors? That would be ridiculous. My parents were very sedentary. We never took national park vacations or things like that. And right before my 40th birthday, my husband left me. And as you know, physical activity is a great way to deal with mental health. And I started walking for my mental health, basically because walking was the only physical activity I was good at, right? I mean, I'd been walking, since about the age of 1, but I'd never done any other physical activity. So I started walking. And as my fitness got better, I started running, not out of any desire to be fast or to win anything, which I never will do. I've often been dead last in the race, but I started running just to save time because I had to get back to my high-tech corporate finance job. So I started running, and that eventually led me to sign up for my first marathon in honor of my 40th birthday. and a bunch of triathlons along the way. I remember telling my parents that I was going to do a sprint triathlon, which was a 1/2-mile swim, a 12-mile bike ride, and a 5K or 3-mile run, which my parents said was impossible. There was no way someone like me was going to be able to do that. But I did. No, not only did I, as you mentioned, I've run more than 150 races now, including 3 marathons in 3 days, done an Ironman triathlon. So for me,
okay,
running,
hold on. I'm going to need to mute some people here.
No worries.
Using this.
Oops.
I think we've got Naomi there.
Naomi, there we go. You know, they
Okay.
really bounce around.
Yes,
I don't know if
they
you've
do.
noticed that, but they really jump around. Okay, so
For me, running is my meditation. You mentioned that dance is yours. For me, it's running. I often encourage people to run without music and to just listen to their thoughts. And by the way, when I say run, walking counts as running. To me, to be a runner is all about intention, to move from point A to point B in the fastest, most efficient way you can. And if that's walking, that's great. If it's hiking, whatever it is, you don't have to be a certain speed or look a certain way or go a certain distance to be a runner. Running is all about intention. So sometimes when
I love that. Now I don't have to
walking.
say I'm not a runner anymore because I walk
No.
twice a day. I probably walk like 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the afternoon.
I would call you a runner for sure. There is no such thing as jogging. Jogging is what people say to apologize for not being fast. You don't have anyone to apologize to. So you're a runner.
Yeah, and one of the places I walk is in the local cemetery, which goes right up the hill. And I love that because walking uphill strengthens those muscles.
You're stretching your cardiovascular system. You're helping it expand. You're getting your body activated to do something new, be that dance, be that go faster, whatever it is you like to do. I did not do the 3 marathons in 3 days to win anything. I was dead last every single day of the 3 days. I did it for the challenge of seeing Lake Tahoe up close and personal. Yes, I could have done it in a car, but that wasn't as spiritual to me as walking around a
So
lake.
Carla,
So there was some running, there was some walking.
You are breaking up a little bit. Is that your internet connection or is that your...
It might be. I don't see you breaking up, so I wonder if it might be on the other end. But we can try. If not, I can turn off my video and maybe that'll help. I'm not getting a message that my internet is unstable.
Okay. Well, we'll go on. I just wanted to alert you to that. And
Thank you.
I'm wired in. I don't use Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question I have is why is being active so important to our health? Do you have any scientific information about?
I do. So what you said about our body needing movement is true. We were not designed to sit all day. We talk about, the caveman. The caveman didn't sit on Zoom all day. And keeping your body moving keeps it lubricated. So the more you move, the fewer aches and pains you have. I want to distinguish between soreness, which is your muscles getting used to a new activity, versus aches and pains, which are acute and a sign of injury, right? Age is just a number. You do not have to hurt more or slow down because you got older. What we feel as aches and pains is the switch from being sedentary to going in motion. And the older we get, traditionally, we spend more time sedentary, so we notice it more. But if you keep moving, keep your body in motion, then a body in motion stays in motion. And I like to say, and gets to live whatever is on its bucket list. And a body at rest stays at rest and eventually atrophies. Like you said, if you don't use your muscles, they become flaccid. Osteoporosis is solved first and foremost by weight-bearing activity, of which walking, running, hiking are great activities for that. You may have heard that running will ruin your knees. If I had a penny for every person who told me that running was going to ruin my knees, I would be rich. But what I don't have is blown out knees. And the reason for that is proper body mechanics. I actually teach a class based on the methodology of Chi running by Daniel Dreyer about how to use the Earth's energy, in other words, gravity, together with your body's energy flow to pull you forward that does not pound your joints. You're right, Michelle. So many people pound their joints, get injured, and blame running. But frankly, if you do anything wrong, you can get injured, but it's more user error than it is the sport itself. So like I said, I've been running for 15 years. I've done more than 150 races. I've run, according to my Athlinks account, more than 5,000 miles, right? And my knees are fine. Matter of fact, I just did a hip x-ray at my doctor's insistence because he said, well, the way you run, I want to make sure your hips aren't degrading. And at the age of 55, after those 150 races, more than 25 full marathons, and an Ironman triathlon, my hips are in perfect condition. My bones are strong. So it's more about movement. When you're young, they don't tell you about body mechanics. They say go, and they let your body figure it out. And so often people get injured. But as older women, like you mentioned, I started running at 40. So I've read almost every book and study on body mechanics and injury because I did not want to get injured, right? I started as an almost old lady, right? And found out that age is just a number. With proper body mechanics, which involves the mind-body connection and listening to what your body is telling you and using your mind to interpret those signals and give your body what it needs, you can run effortlessly and painlessly for as long as you like.
Well, that's very, very reassuring. So, get out there, but what are some cautions about starting to exercise? What do people need to do if they've been sedentary for a long time, so that they don't injure themselves and that they can move into the place that's right? And how you work with clients at all?
I do. I work with clients. I have clients who are in their 70s and 80s, as well as, runners in their 30s and 40s. So I don't work with young kids because that's a different mindset. So what I recommend, first of all, is don't overdo it. You wouldn't ask your car to go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds or less. Don't ask your body to either. You want to ramp up slowly and gradually. So, condition your body to go longer distances and faster speeds, not at the same time, one and the other, and then alternating. I have programs that help you both build speed and endurance. And I also recommend listening to your body, ensuring proper body form. That's a whole nother topic that we don't have time for. But if you think of so many people, let me just give you a little example here. How many times have you seen people standing like this with this S in their back, right? That's not the way your body was meant to move. That creates a lot of pressure on your spine. I encourage you to use your abdominals to tuck your tail, not tuck your tail under, but to move the front of your hips up. And that'll release all that pressure when you're walking and running or just standing on a Zoom call, right? So many of us plant our shoulders back and our butts back, and that creates a curvature of the spine that creates that pressure that you were mentioning. So by moving from an S curve to what I call a C curve, right? Sort of, shaping your spine as a C, that'll reduce a lot of that pressure and you'll feel so much better when you're moving.
Those are really good pieces of advice about how to, although sometimes it's hard to remember to do that, right?
And that's why I encourage people not to zone out to music, but to really focus their mind on what their body's doing and notice any little twinge that your body's telling you about. So if you listen to your body when it whispers, you'll hopefully never have to hear it scream.
So one of the things that I've noticed with my body is there is a slight curvature of the spine. one of those scoliosis things, but I think it's really small. It's hard to even see it. But the other thing is that I've had body people work on me, and they said that it appears like one leg is longer than the other, but it isn't really. So there's a way in which I'm holding. And I also noticed that my right leg foot splays out a little bit, and that puts pressure on the knee and the hip.
You are absolutely right. And those are all the things that we bring up in my body mechanics program. I have one starting on April 17th, by the way. But yes, that is so common. And a matter of fact, one of the ladies that I coach, her brother is a doctor, and we talked about, the feet splaying out and the pressure that puts on your knees. And the doctor said that, 45% of people do that. And I reminded her that common is not the same as optimal, right? Just because people do it and it's a common thing doesn't mean it's the optimal way to move. It's also why most people get injured running. So we work on how to train your body to be in proper alignment. And that's something I've been working on for 15 years. So like meditation, it's not something that happens overnight, but it can be done. And that's what's going to keep your body fresh and moving smoothly. And so you're absolutely right. Once your body is a whole skeleton, if you remember the skeleton from anatomy class hanging from the hook, right? All the bones fall in proper alignment. When anything is out of alignment, that'll create the twinge. And that twinge is your body telling you that something's out of alignment. And as you learn to interpret what your body is telling you, you'll be able to fix it yourself and make that adjustment while you're moving so that you can move more efficiently. And that's the movement of gravity using the Earth's energy together with your body's energy in the Chinese concept of qi. What was it? I forgot what I was going to say. Something about moving your knee. Right. So those little twinges are your body communicating what it needs. And I run, you may have heard of of the barefoot runners and how so many people got injured because they went out barefoot, like the book Barefoot Running suggested. Now I run in shoes that are so popular among many runners. And the reason I do that is because then I immediately know when my body is out of alignment. When my foot hits the pavement in a way that is not in proper alignment, I immediately feel pain. People get injured because they run through the pain. Don't run through the pain. Take the message and adjust. And when the pain goes away, you know that your body is moving the way it was meant to move. So I ran all 3 marathons in 3 days with no cushion under my feet because it helped me maintain my body mechanics. And so that is something I am super passionate about for everyone. Younger people tend not to believe in body mechanics because we think that we're invincible, but we all know as we get older, we find out we're not. But our body has everything it needs in order to move efficiently. We just have to be sure that we are doing what our body needs and not forcing it into something else.
So I have a question, and that is, what can people do to get started? What activity can they do that gives them the most bang for the effort?
I think walking is the greatest bang for your buck, and walking with good body mechanics will get you started on a lifetime of activity. And why is walking so important? It's a skill you need for everything. You mentioned that, our bodies are important. Our bodies are the vessel that carry us through life, and we only get one. So without this vessel, you're bedridden, and none of us want to be bedridden in our later years. I plan to still be running marathons in my 80s, and I still be planning to be traveling, which means walking around cities all over the world, getting on planes, getting off planes, going through airports. So getting an efficient walking stride where you do have that C curvature of the spine and not the S, that your toes are pointed forward and not splayed out, putting pressure on your knees. So learning to walk with proper body mechanics is not only good for your twice a day walk or your exercise, but it's good for getting through life. It'll take you on that long day tour of walking through the wine country in Paris, or walking through the French Riviera, sipping wine.
So I want to invite our
audience. While your body is enabling to.
Sorry, you skipped for a second and I thought you would stop. So I wanted for our guests, if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat, or you can actually put your hand up. There's a reaction button at the bottom of your screen or somewhere, depending on what you're on. And you can raise your hand and it'll put you over to the left-hand side and I'll see you. But if you have any questions about how you can put exercise into your life, or you want to talk about, well, this is what's happening to me and how do I get over this? That's what Carla's here for, is to answer those kinds of questions and get you started. So do you have something, a way for people to get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the program you have or the work you do, Carla?
Yes, my website is www.donetheworld.com. WIM stands for Women in Motion, so that's WIM, runtheworld.com. And we have daily walks where you can walk and talk with us. We have body mechanics programs where you can learn how to move more efficiently as we hike a longer distance.
So if you would put that in the chat so that people can copy it out and they don't have to write it, they just save the chat. And you can all save the chat if you want to have that information that Carla is putting in there. Are there any final things, Carla, that you want to share with the people before I move over to our next guest?
Yes, thank you. Age is just a number. Movement can help you age gracefully. Be that walking, running, hiking, or dancing, or Zumba, whatever you like to do, movement will help you age gracefully.
Well, thank you so much, Carla. And you're going to hang around so that if you have questions for Carla, you'll still have a chance to ask her at the end of towards the end of the show. And now I want to introduce, if I can get this over here, our next guest, who is Irena Nickels. Irena is a professional dancer with a BA in dance performance. She was introduced to This Is What You're Here For, Pan EuRhythmy, in 1998 by Ardella, Nathaniel, who wrote one of the first English books on the subject. She has traveled to Bulgaria, the country of origin of the dance, and twice joined an international gathering of thousands of dancers dancing in the mountains. She has taught this dance form in California and Hawaii and currently lives in Sonoma, where she holds classes in her Dance of Discovery embodied movement process. So I'm going to bring Irena to the stage. Hold on a second, Irena. I'll have you here in a second. Okay, Irena, welcome. Tell us, or tell me, a little bit about your background as a professional dancer. What does a professional dancer do? Do you perform on stage, or do you are you in the movies? What does a professional dancer do? What is that career path?
Well, I'd say it changes a lot from my 20s when I got my university degree to age 55, when in West County of Sonoma County, California, I put on a large show that involved musicians and dancers and poets. And I decided it's my 55th birthday, I will, still be active. And then I'm ready to move into my 7th decade. And it changes a little bit. I'm still holding Dance of Discovery classes, although in the year 2020, things did, taper off. And I love that. My strength is in improvisation and being present in the moment with the magic of dance. I shifted, or I shouldn't say I shifted, but I added a technique, which was Middle Eastern dance, to my palette of different techniques, mostly modern I had. And in the mid 90s, mid 90s, early 90s, actually, I became a Middle Eastern dancer. And that looked like everything from dancing with snakes to embody the female wisdom and the energy of transformation that the snake holds, to many different kinds of dances outdoors, downtown, in a festival in San Francisco, and so on and so forth, all kinds of experimental dances. And in 1998, my Reiki teacher said she met somebody who was doing some kind of mantra dance and thought I would be interested. I said, well, what is this and who do I contact? Well, I was already on I would say, a spiritual path, interested in such things and deepening into movement and dance. And I found out about the Pan EuRhythmy from Ardella Nathaniel, who lives in Marin, California, and has been traveling the world teaching this. And I instantly took a liking to it and felt like I belonged. And what's interesting is that this is not a dance you do alone. This is not a dance you do indoors. This is specifically done outdoors.
So go ahead and describe for us what this Pan EuRhythmy is. I mean, this is what you're here for, is to tell us about this amazing communal dancing. So please.
Yes. Well, you know, in Pan EuRhythmy, we're bringing together the mind, the heart, and the will, and we're bringing them into harmony. So yes, the physical motions are important, but the thought process is very important. We hold a certain quality with each movement. We are balancing male and female energies, masculine and feminine. We're moving through our own evolution with this form. So we're connecting to nature and all that nature brings us. And I was thinking about your conversation on flexibility a minute ago when you were talking about running. So one of our movements is actually called flexibility. And of course, we're looking at our muscles at every moment. The angle of our arms, the energy in our hands in this dance is important. But when we come to our, it happens to be, you know, in the middle of the series of movements that make up Pan EuRhythmy, it's called agility or flexibility. Well, in particular, this one is associated with water, and we're developing our feminine forces and the feminine principle. So each movement in Pan EuRhythmy has a description like that, where something's being fostered here, something's being paid attention to, and it's kind of greater than just the movement in our body. So it's definitely a spiritual practice, or one should say a growth enhancing practice. And we're in a group, and that's part of it. We're in a circle, in the middle of the circle, outside in nature. If you were in Bulgaria, where this originated, there'd be musicians singing to you and playing music in the middle. We have.
And is it kind of like a circle dance? Do people hold hands? Or is everybody just dancing free form, or what is that like?
It starts with individual movements. And in fact, the first 10 movements have been adapted to be a children's dance called the butterfly dance, because we're moving from our larval stage, you say, into our beautiful butterfly. And then we progress from there. So we're not holding hands, but towards the end, there are some movements where we're connected. There's one movement called friendship or acquaintance, and we start dancing together. And we're always aware of each other anyway in the circle. So it is a sacred circle dance. And
so it is a sacred circle dance. Okay, great, yeah. Great. And were you going to bring some video of this, or were you going to show this on the show, or just music, or what were you going to do in terms of helping people to really get what Pan EuRhythmy is about?
Well, I realize there's so much on the internet that perhaps people will resource those videos. There's just so many. I have the music playing in the background, but you probably can't hear it. The music. No,
you actually have to give the permission to have the music on. If you wanted to do that, it would probably cut me out, though. It would probably just be you. I'm not sure. I haven't done that yet, but you can do that. Probably not a good idea to practice it here in the middle of our live call, but it is something that is possible. You have the music on your computer and you share it when you share screen. And then you click on that and it actually does play the music. the history of Pan EuRhythmy. Where did this come from, and why are people doing it? What can you tell us about that?
Well, this started from a fellow who is born in 1864 in Bulgaria. And pretty soon he became recognized as quite an exceptional teacher. And the teachings that he brought were esoteric and had to be pretty much kept underground, especially during communist rule. And dance was part of this. Music, of course, singing, praying, lots of.
Why would people even do this? Why is this? What was the motivation for it?
He said, this is the closest I can show you of what could be happening on other realms in the realm of movement. And so this dance was given to us for our own evolution, for connecting with nature. So this is, if we're thinking about climate change and wanting to help the earth, this does that on its own.
So say a little bit more about that. How does this, because I've written this in my emails and stuff about Pan EuRhythmy. How does it heal? How does it transform the world? Say a little bit more about that. And go off your notes and just say, you know this stuff. I don't think you need your notes.
Oh, yeah, we don't have notes. So what I want to say is that we're already fostering health and harmony in ourselves through this dance. And that transfers over to nature, to the whole world. There is, in the evolution of each person, of course, there is a spillover into the evolution of the whole world and the earth. So we're moving towards harmony, peace, fostering and developing our ability for love and wisdom and truth. And the movements are such that we're becoming more free, we're becoming more evolved ourselves. And this is about the whole also, harmony between people. It starts with ourselves. And we are always in a circle in this dance. So we can't avoid that we're in group. This is not a solo process.
And the specific movements that you said already before, that some of them are associated with water and some of them may be associated with other elements, and that they are there to nurture or to encourage certain aspects in our lives or heal certain aspects. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, we have different movements with the arms. For example, an angle in the aum. Our right arm is raised up, our left arm is behind us, and then we alternate. And in some ways, you can even feel that in your body, how you're connected to realms above you and deep, deep into the earth, how you move forward towards good and high ideals, and how you leave behind that which doesn't serve you. And in that particular movement, we're even saying the word aum, which is, many people would know, it comes from many spiritual traditions or is used in many. So we have a few words that we say also like that. Mm-hmm. And there's just an example of the actual movement of the body as we move one arm up and the other arm down, the other one up. It seems simple, but there's such a deep meaning in that. The angle is even important.
Mm-hmm. I guess sometimes, you get so used to it yourself, it's hard for you to understand where people are coming. How does this work? But that's where I am. I'm kind of taking it from the point of view of wanting to understand how it does what it does. Now, I understand vibration, and of course, music has vibration. But I also understand sort of magnetism. And so energetically, human beings have a magnetism. And when they are in a group together, they are actually impacting each other just with their movement. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we did in the spiritual group I practiced with, it was Sufi, was we did whirling. And whirling is an amazing experience where you literally you can feel the energy of the other people as they're moving in this sort of all these heavenly bodies on earth moving in different speeds, but impacting themselves. And I'm imagining that Pan EuRhythmy is a little bit like that, that as we move both in concert together, you are magnifying the impact of the movement. Am I right?
Exactly. And for example, maybe I could get my body more in the camera. Here we go. If your hands are together and then they come down and separate and then they come back again, and everybody's doing that, that particular movement is called reconciliation. And reconciling these things within yourself. And you can imagine a whole circle, especially in Bulgaria, it's a couple thousand people doing this in the high mountains, the gateway to the Himalayas. And you're doing this in a very meditative way. And you're feeling the reconciliation in yourself. The one that comes after that is giving. And just if everybody took their
lovely, yes,
on their heart, everybody put your hands on your heart, and you can feel even as you go out and back and out and back. So some like that seems pretty basic to get in touch with. You can do that.
Right.
You can go, oh, that feels like giving and receiving.
Yes. Now I'm getting it. Okay.
It's a little hard to demonstrate with just my head in the camera, but yes.
Yes, I understand now. So there are some movements that you make that are movements that we are all familiar with. And then when everybody's doing them at the same time, it magnifies the effect, just like if we all were to shout at the same time or all to sing at the same time, that it would magnify the vibrational energy of that sound. Well, when we move, we're also moving molecules and we're all doing it together. So I can see how that would really have an impact and resonate and vibrate throughout the world. How does sacred geometry fit into this?
Well, as I talked about the particular angle of the arm in Aum, that angle and the geometry of the body is very important. Petr Dunov gave us two other exercises. One is called the pentagram and the other is called the sunbeams. Now those are a little more complicated. They're in addition to the Pan EuRhythmy, which lasts about 40 minutes. Now, the pentagram, for example, is 5 people taking the shape of the pentagram and moving around a circle and constantly moving from one part of the pentagram to the next. And so the sacred geometry of the pentagram is used there. And every point of the pentagram has a virtue such as truth and wisdom and love and clarity, So you're embodying the values and in the sacred geometry.
So say something a little bit about the pentagram and what is the sacred aspect of the pentagram itself? Do you know? Can you enlighten us novices that haven't really studied the sacred aspect of geometry?
Well, again, it is used different ways by different groups. And so in this group, unlike some other groups where it might symbolize something else, it is a powerful visual and geometric tool for encountering these virtues and moving around your evolution of life, acquiring different virtues in your process of evolution, such as the ones I mentioned. Justice, encountering what does justice mean and what does freedom mean? And what is wisdom and how do we acquire wisdom? So the pentagram in this tradition is aligned with these values. It is used differently in other groups.
Okay, so you have made me curious. I now have to go off and research pentagrams and see, because I think as you say, they've been used for a lot, but I don't know much about it. So I'm very curious. And we are going to open up for questions. If any of you who are here, including Carla, you are welcome to ask questions as well about this form of dance. And what does it have any impact on your health? Oh, I know what else I want to ask is about that mountain experience. Are people like camped there? Is there a retreat center there? I mean, what was that like to be out? And did they stay for several days? What was that experience like?
Yes, we have an amazing gathering that happens. It's international. People fly from all over the world, and thousands of people gather in the high mountains of Bulgaria and every day hike to these pristine lakes,
Mm.
dance in a circle with musicians, and there's thousands of people. I used to lead Sufi dance before encountering this dance. And I enjoyed that form of sacred dance in the circle and with couples. And this had some similar feelings, a gathering with devotion and with beautiful movement up high, high in the mountains, and camping, and every night music and more gathering. Very special gathering.
Well, I imagine just even being up in the mountains, the high altitude and the pureness of the air and being out in nature must be really amazing. And did people have to hike to get up there, or could they drive? How was access?
Well, they had put a ski lift in part of it. You could imagine maybe like a national park like Yosemite, where there's commercial aspects somewhere, and then you can hike off and be away from all those commercial aspects. Well, it's large enough up there that you can encounter the ski lift. You can get help with donkeys to bring your belongings up the mountain, but you do yourself have to hike a bit to get all the way to the top. And
Wow.
the area where people have set up their tents, and pretty much it's like one large group camp.
Wow. And how long does it last? How long does this event last? Is it a
Well,
week?
some people might stay there for months during the summer, but most people are focused on about a couple weeks, maybe 1 week in particular in August, where the main focus is everybody's there.
Wow.
Mhm.
If people wanted to get a hold of you, could you put something, say how they could get a hold of you, and maybe put a link or something in the chat so that people, if they have more questions, they can ask you?
Yes, I think I'll give my phone number. That's the very easy way. It's
Oh
an
my
area
gosh, how old school. I love it.
Well, you and I know that we didn't have my laptop working, so I'm on a smaller device, and
Right.
might
Oh,
not.
I know, technology. You gotta love it. You gotta hate it. I understand.
So I'll just say 707 is the area code. Again, that's 707. And the number would be 480-1952. That's 480-1952. And let me take the book here I have on the table and just show The Dance of the Soul by Ardella Nathaniel. And
What's
this is
Peter? Wait a minute, put that book back up again. It has somebody else's name on it.
That's
Peter.
Dunov.
Oh, that's who developed it, Peter.
Yes. Now,
how do you pronounce his last name?
Deunov. And you can Google Pan EuRhythmy.
Yeah, but how do you pronounce his name?
Oh, Dunov.
Dunov. Okay, Dunov. And you can Google Pan EuRhythmy and find all kinds of information and videos on it. Is that right?
Yeah. And you can find the Dance of the Soul book on Amazon. If you wanted to contact Ardella, she's in Marin, California. I have a group dancing weekly in Forestville, California. That's Sonoma County. And also, there are many people dancing in Central and South America. We have the book Danza del Alma that is available in Spanish, which is, of course, Dance of the Soul. And quickly, for those who are teachers, we have the butterfly dance. It's adapted for children. And that also is in Spanish, again, Danza de Mariposa.
You mean it also is translated in Spanish? You can also get it in English, I'm assuming?
Oh, yes. First one was English.
That's
and so that way, people who work with children and teachers, this dance is available for everybody. Now, what's interesting, it's even in Polish. The social work department of the government in Poland asked Ardella to come there and teach because they felt like their social workers would benefit from using this with their clients and for themselves.
Wow.
So it's great benefits on many levels. Physical
mention some of the benefits of this kind of dance. Does it
Well,
Yeah, come on, sell this product.
well, I'm not used to being a salesperson. I think, what's interesting that is if you, like me, you hear about it, all of a sudden you go, oh, I think this is for me. I mean, I could say that it develops your spiritual gifts. It makes you in harmony with the cosmic rhythm. That's why it has the name Pan EuRhythmy.
Okay,
It
I get
improves your
it.
physical and mental health. It brings,
Okay.
it kind of
It
goes.
even exercises your body, right? You get your muscles working, right?
Absolutely. You're moving, you're walking around the circle for a good 40 minutes, you're preparing your body and your mind.
And you don't even notice it because you're so busy dancing, right?
Yeah, you're creating harmony, it's
Awesome.
a good thing for today's world.
So we're almost out, and I want to bring Carla back in and open up the call to any questions from our guests, and to communicate with each other. Any final words? My final words are come back. My next meeting of the Healers Connection is April 12th, I believe. Yes, the second Tuesday of the month, and it's at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that time we're going to be I have an amazing woman who's going to be talking about forgiveness. And I forget what the other woman is speaking about, but it'll be a related topic in terms of healing the emotional parts of ourselves. So Carla, you want any final words from you?
No, I love that. Thank you, Irena, for talking about that, because I just firmly believe that movement is the way to keep your body functioning. We only get one body in this world, so you got to take good care of it however you do that. And I love the spiritual aspect of it as well, both in dance and in my case, just, running alone with my thoughts.
That's beautiful. Well said, Carla. And Irene, is there any final thing that you want to convey to our audience before we sign off?
Oh, it was so wonderful being with the two of you. And also it's very interesting when listening to Carla. I remembered when I would, as a dance student at the university, run around the track, and my runner's high, I love that. And now I feel like I'm not running around a track, but I'm dancing around the circle and I'm with others doing this sacred practice. I love it all. It's been wonderful to be on this program. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Irena. And thank you, Carla. It's just been such a pleasure to have you both share your passions and your connection with your body and the way in which you do it, and that we do have choices about how we connect with our bodies based on what works for us. And for many, many years, running worked for me. And then depending on where you live, sometimes dance works better because you can do it inside in your living room and you don't have to go anywhere. And I don't know about up in your area, but there are a number of, well, there used to be, the pandemic. We used to have a dance group called Barefoot Boogie, and we would have a DJ who would play music, and we would just all dance on this wonderful wooden floor in a wonderful building. And just being able to do that, to have somebody else be responsible for the music and to just move your body in so many different ways in community with other people. It reminds me, I have one other question for you, Carla. Have you ever run in groups? Have you ever run with?
Well, yes. So as you probably know, Michelle, a race is just a big party. I like to say that competition is the petition for companionship. It's not about being faster than someone else. It's about running in a group of people. So I frequently get together with groups of women, both in our women's community, Women in Motion, as well as people I meet out at races. And that is just a great way to spend the day with people.
That's a really, really, really good point. I'm afraid to tell you that when I was running, I was much more competitive. And it was very much about trying to place in a race. And
for me, it's all about the companionship. I chat up people who are running at my speed. I've made great friends that way. I was just at the Zion Half Marathon
Oh, wow. So
in Zion National Park in Springdale, Utah.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. What a beautiful place to run.
I went with 6 other ladies. We were all running at our own speed, but ran together as a group. And then we went hiking together the next day. And the
Awesome.
park was just full of people who had run the race on Saturday and then went hiking throughout the park on Sunday. So I think running, hiking, and walking is the best social activity.
Thank you for mentioning that, because that will make it a lot more enjoyable. And if you want to get started in your exercise program, having other people involved with you will really help a lot. And of course, with Irena's communal dance, that's a no-brainer. It's an opportunity to meet amazing people who are not only spiritual, but are also connected and trying to uplift all of us in the world. So thank you again, Carla and Irene, and thank you, our guests, for coming today and joining us. And I wish you a great rest of the day and to keep moving. Let me just spotlight again. Actually, I need to remove spotlights. Here we go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. So again, this is the Healers Connection. I'm Dr. Michelle Petacola. As I said, keep moving and enjoy, and come back next month for another installment of the Healers Connection, where you can add more joy, more excitement, more pleasure to your life. That's it for today. Bye for now.